What's up guys, Scott here with Wandering the Wilderness. Today what I thought I'd go over with you is some basic traps and the different types of traps. Now this is primarily going to be an informative type video for the purpose of those that live on a homestead or are possibly a prepper but don't have traps in your arsenal. So I feel traps are one of the greatest ways to obtain food, as well as furs or other useful materials. So just wanted to go over that. First off, with my credentials, I am a licensed wildlife damage control agent in the state of North Carolina. I predominantly trap squirrels in attics, raccoons, possums in crawl spaces, groundhogs, skunks, and beaver causing problems to damage or to ponds. I am not a big wilderness or the traditional fur trapper. I am a damage control agent. There are some slight differences there. Basically, I can trap year-round and write permits to trap wildlife that's causing damage to property. So that's what I do. That's why I've acquired a lot of the traps that I have, the types that I have, and hopefully this information will be a good basic introduction to somebody who has never done any kind of trapping. With that said, the very first type of trap that I would recommend anyone to get into basic trapping on your own homestead or for preparedness would be a cage trap. All right, a cage trap is, as I've listed as some of your basic traps, you have a cage trap, a body grip trap, and a foothold trap. Everyone, I think, at some point in time has seen the cage trap. All right, this is the smaller one. I use it quite often for squirrels. As you can see, there is also slightly larger ones that are made for raccoons and possums, and even this a really large one that I have here. I don't know if you can see the full length of it, but it's made for live catching coyotes. That I have one as well. All right, so they all work on the same premise. There's basically a door that is closed shut by springs, some type of trigger or latch, and then there's a trigger, and in this case it works like a teeter-totter. The animal steps on this, the door closes behind it, and the animal's caught alive. Now, cage traps are all generally live traps, whether that be for the squirrel, possum, coon, or the coyote. Now, I use cage traps often. They're great for getting animals out from under a crawl space as well as an attic, and it also gives you the opportunity to relocate those animals if you're not required to put them down. Now, when it comes to a homestead situation, these are also great for the exact same reasons. Say you got a chicken coop and you're getting a lot of, you're losing some chickens or you're losing some eggs. You might have weasels, you might have coons, you might have a variety of different problems that are getting in there messing with your chickens. Having a couple of these traps around your homestead or for a prepper. Say that, we're in a SHTF scenario. I don't tend to use that often. If you're in that kind of scenario and you need to get food, these traps can provide. I know the easiest and most common animal I tend to catch in these is possums. Now, a lot of people aren't going to eat possum nowadays, but if you're real hungry, I'm sure you would. Also coon. I personally love eating coon. It's an old dark meat, a little greasy, but if you prep it right, it's delicious. So these are great traps to have in both of those kind of scenarios. For me as a damage control agent, these are great for getting animals out of places that I don't want them to be so I can relocate them somewhere else. Most of the time, put them back here on my own property. It increases the wildlife in my area. Good for me, good for them. So with that said, that's cage traps. This would be my go-to when it comes to basic trapping on the homestead or for a prepper. Get these at your Home Depot, your Lowe's. A lot of times they'll come in a 2-pack. I'll tell you another place that I tend to find a lot of these is yard sales. Come spring, when the yard sales are all over the place, go to as many of them as you can. I've got these for as little as $1 to $5 for the big ones. That's a whole lot cheaper than what you buy them brand new, and they always are functioning. And it's very simple and how they work. All right. Next kind of trap that I wanted to go over is the body grip trap. Now, the body grip trap is the first trap that I actually purchased, knowing nothing about trapping. I had watched multiple videos on YouTube and thought, well, some body grip traps would be great to carry in my pack. So I bought a 6-pack of 110s, which 110s are your smaller body grip traps. They are designed for primarily squirrels. They have a very simple function. The spring is on the side, and with these you're capable of compressing the spring with your hand, which is nice. Close the trap into a square. Your trigger just hangs down, and then you have the dog that just closes right over top of it. And now that trap is set. Once a squirrel or something of the sort comes through and hits that trigger, it grips the body. Now typically it's going to hit directly behind the neck and then a little further down. So body grip traps are kill traps. You want to make sure you're using the right trap for the right animal and the right size. Now, like I said, this is a 110. This is typically what you use for squirrels. Here is a 220. As you see, much bigger and has 2 springs on the side. I use these most often for groundhogs and animals of that size. Raccoons, possums, groundhogs, that's what you're going to get in this. Then the 330. Now the 330 is a very powerful trap. Now this is used for beaver, and I have caught otter in it as well, but this could really do some damage to a variety of canine. So you need to be careful when you're getting up to this, as well could do a lot of damage to yourself. So I've got some videos on me using this, trapping otter and beaver on my channel already, but this is another body grip, the 330. As you see with the numbers of them, the lower the number, the smaller the size, and the smaller the catch. So body grip traps are another great one to have, but it takes a little bit of time to really learn how to use those kind of traps. That's why the cage traps are the best introduction, in my opinion, to trapping. The next one on my basic traps is the foothold trap. Now, footholds, like anything else, come in a variety of sizes, a variety of shapes, a variety of styles. As you can see here, we have what's called a coil spring trap, and that's where it has the springs coiled up. And here we have more of a traditional looking, it's called a long spring trap, which are the springs out here to the side. This is the motor for it. Now, depending on what you're catching and depending on what type of trap you prefer, that's what you would use, long springs or coil springs. That varies on you, on what you like. Again, takes a little bit more of a specialty skill set, but it's great to have these around, because once you've learned how to do them, then you can start catching a variety of other wildlife, like your fox and coyotes, the things that's really going to give you the good furs that you can do stuff with around the homestead. All right. Again, there's a variety of sizes. This is a 1.5 long spring. Here is a 1.5 coil spring. You can see they're slightly different. This one's a number 2 square jaw coil spring. Here's a number 3 coil spring. Up here, this one is called a soft jaw, has a rubber lining. There's a good variety. That gets into more detail. Not what I was planning on doing here, but just wanted to show you these kinds of traps. So basically, when you set them, you pull these 2 sides down, and then it opens up. And then you set the dog over the trigger. And you just lock that in place. Once the animal steps on it, it closes, and it's designed to close. If you're looking at the paw of a dog, it's designed to close right behind the toe, between the paw and the toes, and basically just hold them in place by their toes until you can get there. These are, again, our live traps. Another great one to have around the homestead or for a prepper to learn how to use. Let's see. Also, Cage traps and foothold traps are both typically live traps. The animal's still going to be alive when you get there. So I typically carry around with me in my pack, I carry a single shot 22. This is my cricket. I have done a video on my survival rifle cricket. I've taken this on the side of my backpack. I have a little survival kit inside the synthetic stock. I have a 60 foot of paracord on it, but it does great for just popping and putting down an animal that's in a trap that I'm wanting to harvest. 22, it's easy to get a lot of that ammo. Hit or miss in your area, and hit or miss who's the president as to whether you can get 22, but it's something that you can acquire if you look for it. You can acquire it in a bulk, and it's not overly expensive. So that's my preferred method of putting down an animal in a trap, is just a simple 22. All right. Also, another thing that I tend to use when I have a live animal in a catch is called a catch pole. Now, I made my own catch pole out of a piece of PVC, ran a cable inside of it, like this one was for like a dog leash, an outdoor dog leash. You slide it around the animal's neck, and you can pull your back of your cord here to get it tightened. Then you can direct the animal where you need to direct it, so you can release its foot if it's in that trap, or to get some distance between you and that animal to release it if it's a animal that you caught that you don't want to harvest. All right. Again, I already went over using the proper size trap for your target catch. All right. You don't want to get too big of a trap for whatever you're targeting, because that animal may not have the weight to set off the trigger, or it might not have the size for a body grip, and then it closes and then the animal's gone because it closed behind the animal. All right, so make sure whatever animal you're targeting, you use the right size trap. All right, also wanted to say, follow all of your state regulations. All right, when we're practicing for a different kind of scenario on a real self-reliant, living off grid, in a everything went to hell in a handbasket kind of scenario, all right, we still have to follow current state regulations. The purpose of these regulations are to better manage our wildlife populations, so we have them for years to come. All right, so we need to practice these skills properly and legally. Again, I'm a licensed damage control agent. I can trap year-round, but I have to show proof that it is causing damage to property. I have to write permits, and I have to turn in all my catches. All right, so look up your local state regulations on what you can legally trap and when on your property. All right, that's different state to state, and that's something that you should look up on your own and research that completely. Again, the cage traps, get as many of them as you can and stock them up. In general, you're looking at 5 traps to 1 catch. I would say sometimes 2 to 5. You get 5 traps, 2 catches on these cage traps, depending on placement. So hopefully throughout this series, I'll get into a little bit more about how to set these traps up, how I use them, different baits and lures that I use. But I just wanted to do a discussion on some basic trap types, how to use them, a little bit more information about them, so that if you are a homesteader or a prepper or just an outdoorsman like myself, and you're looking at getting into some trapping, this is a good place to start. Start with the cage traps and learn how to use them effectively. Maybe get you some body grip traps and research on how to use them effectively. Then step up to footholds. One of the other things that I tend to do quite a bit, and where I tend to get a lot of traps, is Fleming traps. Fleming traps. I'm going to leave a link in that description box. For someone who has not done any trapping and you don't really know where to start. Say you got a target animal that you're going after. You want to start beaver trapping. On their website, they have already gone through and they have put together beaver trapping kits. It's going to come with the traps, the lures, the baits, and then a variety. You can get a basic, or you can get like an ultimate. Some of them are going to come with instructional books that show you how to do the trapping. I have books on beaver, otter, fox, coyote, a couple different ones that I've got from Fleming Trap. And these are going to be from master trappers that are far more experienced than I am. And I can use those books to learn and to practice. And then as I'm doing different trapping for damage control, or I run into scenarios where I need to use these traps, I've got that information. So I highly recommend Fleming Trap. I'm not sponsored by them. I have purchased from them different traps. They tend to be my go-to. Their lures and baits seem to work quite well. And I really love how they've pre-put together their kits. That really helps someone who's not a master to really know what traps to buy for what animal they're targeting. So if you're looking at getting into trapping, hopefully follow me along in this series and look at some of my other trapping videos. And hopefully this information will help encourage you to purchase some traps for your homestead, or for the prepper out there, or the general outdoorsman again like myself, and get you into another skill set that you can add to your abilities, and a possible means of providing food and fur for yourself and your family. Thanks for watching, guys.